All right. How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Keep It Real podcast with your host, Nicholas Salter. And I have a guest here, Regina. Thank you for coming on the show.
Of course, I'm stoked.
That's awesome. Yeah, so for today's episode, we're kind of dive into personality profiles, a little bit more into MBTI as well as Enneagram or other personality tests as well. Kind of going into what kind of goes into something like that, taking to a test, what makes someone interested in doing something like that. Because I'm very, as you guys know, I'm very psychologically focused, me a little too much.
I relate.
Yeah, so it's like, so be able to kind of talk about that and then how learning about those types kind of helped our awareness as people and kind of learning how to grow and develop and learn about our strengths and weaknesses and how we can apply those practically to our lives. So thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited. This is like actual dream of like getting to speak on these kind of things. So
Really?
I'm pumped.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So how to tell a little bit about yourself and like maybe a little bit what you do for work, and then a little bit about how you got into these personality profiles.
Okay, awesome. So I've been interested in like personality assessments heavily probably since I was like 14 or so. And so that's been something that's really shaped me, is getting a better understanding of myself and others. With that, I've been able to implement that into my work so much because I know we've discussed that like I'm in leadership. And so getting to understand my team, how they operate, and then also just making sure I'm putting people in the right place, assigning them the right projects that they're going to thrive in. There's nothing worse than being given something that's just like, you'll do it because it's your job, but it's going to burn you out and it makes coming to work really straining and exhausting. So my goal is a healthy challenge for people, but also to just champion them in what they're wired to do. So understanding my own type and their types has been super, super helpful from just a work and leadership perspective too.
That's awesome. That's great. I know like I've been so focused on like my own types and trying to learn more about that I also haven't thought about trying to learn other people, so I learned how to try to negotiate how to work with them better.
Yes.
But I'm also afraid that like I might read someone completely wrong. It's just like completely the wrong way and make it like worse. That's fair. But like but that's interesting. That's cool. So I guess what's so your MBTI, that's Myers-Briggs personality type indicator. So it goes over 4-letter combination, going over introversion, extroversion, intuitive nature versus more practical, as well as last two would be S.
We've got sensing or feeling.
Sensing or feeling, yeah. So more to feel more of the logical type versus more that might be more the touchy-feely type. And then the last one is judgment and perception. So more being able to, these more like artistic focus would be more perception, and then judgment would be more of more the regimented kind of individuals. So those might be maybe more C-suite level kind of people up there. But so it kind of goes into different mix and matches on how your personality can kind of be combined. And these kind of go into cognitive functions, not get too caught up into the weeds. Everyone has all the cognitive functions, but they're kind of ordered in a stack of level of importance, basically, or how strong it is in your personality profile. So for my 4 letters, I am an ENTP. So basically, more extroverted, intuitive, thinking, and perceiving type. So for ENTPs, we are known for, a lot of us kind of called the debater or that one. I do like to argue. I will say I will say that. So I do like to kind of explore more ideas and things like that, kind of connecting dots between things, and always kind of generating new things. But it also might lead me to not always necessarily finish where I start. So I had to make sure. One thing I learned about myself is learning how to be more, like use my calendar, like try to be more organized, write stuff down. That helped out so much with my capacity of like not having to
the brain outside the body is what I call my calendar.
It's like just being able to just like not have everything all stored up here, which makes you like more stressed out, like puts a lot more pressure on you. So it's like being able to do that and like hold myself more to like a schedule and like a routine to kind of keep my life stable and not get lost in like the next shiny. That kind of thing. But what about what's your favorite?
So I'm actually an ENFP, so super similar to yours. So that would be extroverted, intuitive, feeling and perceiving preferences. When I originally took my first like assessment to figure out what type I was or where I was categorized, I remember like reading it for the first time and just feeling so seen because it literally just was like, oh my gosh, they wrote a book on me. Like somebody outlined, this is exactly about me. There really isn't anything about it that I don't relate to. Um, Someone that a lot of people know of, like how an ENFP is going to present, are people like you can see like celebrities that have your same type. So I'll give the example of like Will Smith, Robin Williams, characters from shows would be like a Michael Scott, like
Oh.
so very like idea driven. I love to have fun. I'm really spontaneous. Can be pretty disorganized. So that's probably one of my biggest challenges is just it's like your biggest strength, but also weakness to be able to jump from one thing to the next and multitask. So it stretches me, and I typically really pair well with people like my sister that's an INFJ.
Yeah.
Polar. I mean, like we really just balance each other. So that's been helpful for me to know of like what kind of people do I need to invite into my life and keep close that are going to balance me, keep me on the right track. And then I also know the types that like it's common for me for like an ENTP like yourself. I find myself like meeting lots of ENTPs that I get into like deep conversations with. And I also like to like debate and have back and forths and things like that.
Oh, yeah, we love that
Yeah.
shit.
So the types that can handle that and don't feel like intimidated.
Yeah, or take it personally.
Yes.
It's like we're debating ideas, not the worth of the individual.
Right.
Sometimes people get caught up in that, where it's
Yeah.
like their ideas almost line up with who they are, like they
Mhm.
identify with it. To where you
Yeah.
attack the ideas, you feel like you're attacking. They're being attacked
Yes.
themselves.
Mhm.
So yeah, I see that. Yeah, a lot of like kind of like TPs or NTPs, like there's that similar kind of vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vibe, kind of be able to talk and kind of understand the world and want to have a deeper understanding
Mhm.
and be able to share that understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely that's great. So I know like for in terms like kind of go back into weaknesses part of it. Like for me, I figured out that the people I need to surround myself with are like maybe ones that might be a little bit more emotionally
Okay.
inclined, because I know at least that's been like one of my projects for this past year is learning how to focus more on my EQ and learning how to
Okay.
get in contact with the feelings
Yeah.
and stuff, which normally that made me vomit back like back in the day. But now I realize, okay, it's important. It's an important part. And so I started therapy this year and everything
That's great.
and all that. And I didn't realize how much, like, I was like, oh man, that's there's a whole
This is actually great. This actually does work.
there's just like a whole reservoir here that I never looked at. I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
probably if I take a look at that. And it's like so learning how to like one of my friends, like Luke, he's on the podcast
Okay.
all the time. He's very emotionally like intuitive person. He picks up on people and vibes. He like reads
Yes.
people really easily. And I'm just like, how the hell do you do that?
Do you know his type by chance?
I don't know.
Okay, we should find out.
Yeah, kind of make him take one of those. I made him take an Enneagram test, and he was like, "Nate, this is so stupid." He's like, but it did line up with him a lot.
Yeah.
To where like he got like a 2, which is
Okay.
like the giver
Yes.
kind of type. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I'm like, that lines up with you 100%.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I was like, so he's starting to buy into it, like a little bit more, but he's
Mhm.
definitely one more kind of skeptical, which is
Really?
good because
Some people don't like to feel put in a box.
yeah, which is fair. The
Yeah.
personality types are like, you can't just have 16, there's 8 billion people in the world.
Mhm.
So trying to put them in like 16 distinct categories is like, yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, it's not always going to like line up like 1 to 1, but I think it probably gives a general overview, like let's say about 60 to 70%.
That's actually, it's interesting that you mentioned that because something that I always tell people, since I am so passionate about assessments and typing and things like that, is like you said, if there are 16 types and so many people in the world, like surely we can't all just fit in
Yeah.
these 16 categories and that's it. And what I've personally observed is there are more things to look at than that. For myself, Myers-Briggs has helped me to understand how I perceive the world, how I understand the world, and then how I behave as a response to that. I looked at Enneagram for what are my core motivations, like, or what are my core fears? Those drivers.
Yeah.
And I know plenty of ENFPs that have a different Enneagram than me. And then like the disc types. And like there's so many assessments
So, like,
that
yeah, it's all the possible like
Yes.
permutations and like
Mhm.
combinations of the Enneagram and
yeah.
MBTI and how that can create. It seems like different personalities, but again, like similar similar core fears or core drives, core motivations, but also like similar kind of thought processes, but they just enact it
Yeah.
in a different way.
Yes.
So to kind of go on the Enneagram side of things, so Enneagram, like you kind of touched upon, is more about what kind of drives an individual. Also kind of relates to me like kind of core wounds as well, and kind of what you're trying to heal throughout your life.
Mhm.
So I just learned about that this year
Okay.
about this whole thing. And I got the Enneagram Type 3,
Yes.
which at first I thought I was a 5,
Okay.
which is the more like the thinking, kind of more
Yeah.
introverted kind of type. So I thought I was okay, that might be more me. But then learning more about it, the fives don't really care about what other people think. They just care about amassing more knowledge to kind of
Yeah.
shield themselves from the world, so to
Mhm.
speak. Threes actually they do care about and other people think. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's probably mine on that one. And then learning like that comes from like the fear of like not being enough inherently. So I feel like I have to kind of keep continuously trying to earn or trying to
Yes.
do more stuff to like
Mhm.
make me more worthwhile as a person. And I'm like, that's damn. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like that kind of that hit right there. Like whenever you kind of take the test and you read the personality profiles, it'll hit. Like
It does.
it'll hit like a little differently to where it's like, oh, this I feel like I'm being like read.
Yeah, it can feel a little like,
Almost invasive. Like,
yeah.
where it's like, damn, they're like peeling back layers that I was trying to avoid. Like,
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to look at like at all. But it's the truth, and I feel like, and you can't grow without the truth of
Mhm.
knowing the reality
Yeah.
of where you stand, and with that awareness, then you can get better
Mhm.
and not react. And like, 'cause I feel like a lot of people have coping mechanisms or bad relationships based on these wounds or the stuff running them in the background that they don't think about.
Yeah.
Then they wonder why they keep going in the same cycle all the time.
Yeah.
It's because, well, there's something that you haven't addressed that's deeper,
Mhm.
that's driving all your behavior. And until you're willing to take a look at that, then your life's likely probably not going to change.
Yeah.
So it's scary to look at yourself deeper in that lens, but I think it's necessary to make sure you have a good life and good relationships, and that you're not being driven by your insecurities.
Mhm. Yeah. With myself for Enneagram, there were a couple things you said there that I was like, yep, that's so relatable. Of like looking into my Enneagram, I'm a 7, which I wouldn't say all ENFPs are, but I feel like a lot. Um, due to 7s are like super adventurous, life of the party, and core fear is to like feel pain or to be unloved and like not cared for. So sometimes we're seeking those thrills to escape discomfort.
Yeah, the existential dread.
Yes.
Like,
And like for myself, I'm like, I recognize that I can kind of be an energizer bunny and go and go and go. And what's challenging for me is identifying, am I enjoying this and am I going because I have capacity to do it? Or is there something I'm running from right now?
yeah,
And I've learned what some of my things are to watch out for, of like, if I am all of a sudden being like really spontaneous, of like, oh yeah, I was headed home, but I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go do this thing or whatever, like seek more and more. There's probably something I need to process, and that would require me to slow down,
right.
that I'm, without realizing it, kind of running from. And it's funny because I never thought of myself as someone that was scared of feelings or wanted to avoid them. Actually, I got into all of the personality assessment stuff when I was probably around 14. I was diagnosed with ADHD and like started going to therapy almost weekly, which I'm so grateful for that, because through my teen years and like into my early 20s, I was meeting with a therapist routinely. But one of the things that I never really recognized is, I think the reason that I like took this deep dive into like understanding myself was because typically if there are feelings or things that I need to process, my resolution is to just like understand how to fix it. So like if I know more about it, I can make it better. So I'm going to dive into all of the research, not of like what's wrong with me, but why am I the way that I am? And I'll almost logic my way out of just feeling things, which is funny because I'm not a super high logic by any of my like testing on any personality assessments, but it's that avoidance of the feeling. So let me think my way through this one. And then instead of just sitting with the hurt, I'm like, well, I'm just going to solve it and understand it and move forward.
Intellectualizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, all the time.
Mhm.
And if I stop myself, it was like, okay, wait, time out.
Yes.
Like, what am I actually supposed to like? What am I avoiding right now? Trying to experience this moment, trying to use my head to solve everything because it's like a means of control, really. To
It
where it's
is.
like, if I know
It
enough
is.
about it, then I'd be able to control it. It's like no,
Yeah.
yeah, emotions are not those things that are like you can. I think you can steer them, but you can't really control them.
No.
Like they're just kind of they are what they are, and there's no such thing as like a bad or incorrect emotion. It might come from a misunderstanding, but the emotions are real and that they're valid. So it's like learning how to accept that and being able to sit with that, like you said, which is, especially for guys, it's hard. That is very hard to do. When you kind of grow up, it's like, as long as I do X action, then I get X result. I'll be fine. Feelings, put that in the back burner. I'll get to that later. I'll get to that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just get done what I need to get done, and then I'll feel better. And then but then you have this stockpile of stuff that you never dealt with, and then that can come out. It come out in adverse ways.
Yeah.
That you weren't expecting. That you're just like, where the hell did that come from?
And
it's like, well, that's you've been making deposits this entire time, and now it finally cashed out.
Yeah.
You never turn around and deal with it. Like, I think about a lot of guys like they might die in their 60s of like a heart attack. It's because they never
the way stress affects the body.
Yeah. They never dealt with it, and they turn into psychosomatic symptoms and they make the body like arthritis. I read about how that's actually a lot. That inflammation is also a result of like emotional oppression.
Yeah.
Too. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know like this stuff can actually like kill you if you don't deal with it properly. It's just scary to think about.
It is.
Yeah.
I think too about with me like having kids, how we respond to our children or how we were responded to as children. I'm more so under the belief that we're born with our innate personality and preferences. And we can either be parented in a way that helps us step into that and learn what our strengths and weaknesses are and that sort of thing. Or if you're parented with kind of a one size fits all model. For myself, I'm one of 8 kids. And I know, right? And according to like the assessments we've taken, none of the siblings share a Myers-Briggs type, which is interesting because there are 16, but I would think maybe there would be.
One or two.
But if the test results are accurate, which we've used like the 16 personalities site is a fairly accurate, I feel like free resource. If you want to get like really, really accurate, you can pay for the actual MTBI like assessment, and then a professional helps facilitate that.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, the way that kids are parented can really shape like how they're able to sit with their feelings and process them. I think that this generation gets a lot of flack for like gentle parenting, and that we're being too soft on kids. And what I see as a parent is that if we were someone that was, raised in a one size fits all way, and maybe we felt that our personality and our preferences weren't considered, it's natural the next generation like swings the pendulum the opposite way and is like, well, I'm going to consider my kids' feelings in all things. And of course there's like a healthy middle ground.
Yeah. Good.
So
acknowledge feelings, but also maintain discipline. It's like you can feel this and we can feel the capacity, but you still also need to be able to do what you.
Yeah, the whole, like if I had to just put it in the simplest terms, you can okay the feeling, but you don't have to okay all behaviors.
Yeah.
And so even looking at that of like how when we were talking through sitting with emotions and being able to process them and not run from them and things like that, I think when I hear people say, oh, I used to be this type, but now I'm this, my personal core belief, and even like if you look back at like Jung, who was the original like psychologist that even started coming up with this, he held the belief of we have our kind of preset preferences. So I think with a child, if you recognize what their preferences are and encourage and guide them in that way, there won't be that sudden like, oh, I changed as an adult. Like really your personality will be apparent and like fully set in stone by the age of like 12, 13. I think when we see those drastic, I was here in my teens and in my 20s, I'm tested as this one. That could be trauma response. That could be for myself. I actually had to step into who I was.
Yeah.
So in my 20s, I'm like, well, this is who I've always been. There were parts of me that I was stuffing or silencing that would kind of impact how I behaved or even how I tested.
The shadow.
Yeah. And once those things are dealt with and, like you said, processed, and they're not just set aside, we can fully step into like who we're innately designed to be, which I believe is like where we were when we were born.
Right.
Things can just happen along the way.
Yeah, that knocks us off the path. Or like
Yeah.
even like Bruce Lee, there's like a book called The Warrior Within, kind of talks about
Yes.
how we start out kind of innocent as like a circle, and then we kind of learn and take on more. But the whole point is kind of get back to that natural state of we were at before. So it kind of becomes like a full cycle of where you're just kind of getting back to where you started from.
Yeah.
So basically, adulting, and it's some other quote where it's like becoming an adult is kind of learning how to deal with the world, but also kind of get back to who you were when you were a kid, kind of thing, and be able to kind of balance both aspects of that. And I feel that too. I learned about this stuff in college, and I was kind of going through my own kind of identity crisis of like, what the hell I want to do for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
kind of deal. And then I learned about this, even psychology, like Jordan Peterson, which I know has like a more conservative slant now, but when he first got on the scene, kind of speaking to the whole like being able to kind of face life with your shoulders back and just being able to look within yourself. I started challenging that stuff with like, okay, who am I actually? Doing these personality profiles, trying to look for that answer. And that's when I recognized, okay, so I've been stuffing down a good chunk of myself to try to fit into the environment that I was kind of brought up in.
Yeah.
And so like just trying to remove all that clutter, trying to get back to who you were originally. It can be hard. And I think, like you said, trauma can knock you into that shadow archetype, right? Whereas I think the shadow of a ENTP might be like an INTJ. So like they basically, if you're forced into the shadow, you start acting more like that personality type. But then it feels always off, or to where it's like it's very forceful. Like it takes a lot of energy and work to keep that up.
Yeah.
Because it's
you're wearing a mask.
Yeah, it's not natural. So it's like you're using a lot of energy, and it's like it's a weight that you have to carry to try to act that way. So being able to take that weight off is that process kind of coming back into who you are. But that can take time. You know, it can take time to be able to kind of explore those aspects of yourself. Like,
it does, yeah.
Even though with me, I feel like I'm probably like maybe 60% of the way there. You know, if I had to put a number on it. But it's like, and I've been working on it for probably the last 3 or 4 years, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it might be a lifetime. I don't know.
You know, I think that each like stage that we go through, more things are uncovered. There are things for myself where I'm like, yep, I've done the work. I did all the therapy. I feel like I've processed all that I can possibly process. I've unpacked all of it. And then things happen along the way that recognize or make you recognize, oh, that's maybe still there.
Yeah.
Or for me, like a present example is with parenting, finding things where I'm like, oh, am I maybe unhappy with how you're behaving because that's a reflection. I'm taking that as a reflection of my parenting, or is that how I was responded to as a child?
Yeah, the projection.
Yeah, and then you have to process through that, and then it's just like
that's interesting. I haven't even thought about that. How like children that can also bring out like parts of you that weren't.
Oh yeah,
you didn't know was present.
All the stuff comes out of the woodworks.
Oh man, that's something good to look forward to.
It is. I too think that it's really important for whether it's before people have kids or just that they prioritize fully understanding themselves. Right. And it's such a complex thing. I don't think anyone's ever going to feel like they're done doing the work of understanding themselves. And like we are so deep and it is so complex, but at least having done some of the work to understand and respect your own, I use the word preferences a lot because I think the things like what our Myers-Briggs type are, like our ENFP, what we have capability, like it's possible to tap into other areas, but you have your innate preference and really understanding what yours are. And then with that, being able to respect that other people's preferences are not going to match your own.
That's a big one.
And with your children, like they're not always going to, they don't see the world the way you see the world. And they don't perceive things the way that you do. And having enough respect for, they're still humans, like they're kids, but they're humans, for taking into account the way they view it. And my approach to parenting is like, I don't manage my children. I do think of myself as a leader, but almost like similar to work, like I lead this team. And at the end of the day, there are certain decisions that I am going to be the one to make those because technically my frontal lobe is closed. Like I'm still figuring things out, but y'all are way behind on this. So like I'm going to call the end shot, but I will take into consideration what their preferences are. And you know, my son's like my opposite. I feel like he's so introspective and like very organized and slower moving and needs more time to process things. And his sister and I are like
No.
his worst nightmare. We're like Tasmanian devils, just like we go, 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 go. And I'm like, oh, we need to consider Jacob's preferences.
He's like, please slow down. He's like, he's
Yeah.
hanging in there. Oh man. Yeah, that's like I noticed that too. Like I think definitely like my little cousin. She's like very artistically inclined and like very social and good with people. Like she like had always like even like in high school, like seeing her grow up, I was like, I try to prepare her to where it's like, you know, hey, some people might be me, or you might make a hard time trying to find your footing. And like
Yeah.
she was good. No, she was not friends and everything like that. Teachers loved her and everything. And I was like, damn, she had a great time through college. Like right now, I'm just like, there's like she's all the social things I feel like I had to work on. She just,
Yeah. That says so much that she could be like what some people would call like the celebrity or the personality hire in the workplace, where like that wasn't a struggle for her maybe because like she naturally is someone that people look up to and she was kind of leading the pack. And if you're busy doing that, you don't even notice or take personally those things that other people say or do that really like hit us hard when we're younger. Like it just kind of rolls off. Or maybe she's really self-assured and just was able to keep moving. So that's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm happy for her about like that. That's learning about this personality stuff. I was like, okay, so she's literally just built different.
Literally, yeah, that's the most simple way to put it. It's like
this is her strength. Is just being able to just socialize, make relationships. Like that is what she's good at. Fundamentally. I was like, wow, that's great. So it's like I have to keep that in mind for like, when I raise like my own like kids. Is like to where it's like, okay, they'll probably have like different strengths, and I have to try to pay attention to like what their natural inclination is towards.
Yeah,
try to learn to foster that.
Yeah,
and not try to put them in the bucket that I think they should be in.
Yeah,
you know, and not try to impose that on them, which might be a challenge, especially because I mean I assume as a parent you want the best for your kids. So
for sure,
like they're going in a direction he's like, like you want to protect them. At the same time, they have to have the room to grow into who they're supposed to be, and you know, love enough to be able to let them go as it were. Yeah, but that's a future Nick problem. So okay, so I'm fine with that for now.
Yeah, cross that bridge when you come to it. It's a constant, I feel like, just experience of growing and learning, and I've been shaped so much even more as a person through, like I said, that was an area where I was like, yep, I've got it figured out. And then stepping into that, I'm like, just kidding.
Nope.
I don't know anything that I'm talking about or what I'm doing. And really, like, what it comes down to is I was like, oh, I understand myself really well. I now need to grow in understanding other people.
Yeah.
And step out of selfishness. How do I get other people to work with me?
How to give them grace and stuff like that. Like even my dad, like I love him. Like one of the most hardest working people I know. But just like he's not like very strong, like intellectually, like you know, he knows what he knows. He knows what he knows. Yeah. That's what he's sticking with, and that's what's been working for. And then that's so me and him kind of getting discussion. I'm like, well, have you thought about it like this way? And he's like, no, I mean, because this has served me for the last like 50 years. So yeah, no, so quite change. So it's like it's interesting to kind of see the different like dynamics and like also have more grace for people in my life, where it's like they're just wired a different way, you know. And it's gonna be some people that you're more similar to, but other people that not as much. But learning about these different personality types, you can be like, oh, okay, well, they're like an INTP, so I know they're very, very logically inclined. You know, or you know, they're the Enneagram type, so like there too, it's like they love people and like they love like being able to receive that kind of validation.
They give like to a fault. A two does.
Yes. I told him. I told him right now. I was like, yeah, so boundaries are important.
Yeah, that is one of the and
things.
It's funny, like twos are I constantly find myself with twos.
Really?
And like becoming really close friends with twos or like trying to pour into twos and like encourage for them to set boundaries and things like that. And I think some of what it is that I'm naturally more like think of myself and I'm moving fast and like if I'm not careful I can be selfish. And a two's just giving. So they're like, yeah, whatever makes you happy or like
they'll forsake themselves and
yes,
their own
so I end up with twos a lot and I'm like, hold on, you gotta keep me in line, like give me boundaries, because if you don't,
I'll keep
like,
taking. I'm gonna keep taking these. You don't stop.
I'm like, well, you said it was okay, so
Exactly. And then they get resentful, and then that can sabotage a relationship in the future because they never know, they blow up all of a sudden because they
yeah.
never talked about it. And so that it's interesting to learn about these weaknesses and stuff like that too. Like even with my own weaknesses, like with the three, is that if I'm not careful, I will build a life that's not mine, just for the sake of like
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
live up to the expectations of other people.
Okay, I want to hear more about that. What
Yeah.
does that look like? Like,
It's a
break
bitch.
that down.
It's a
Of
bitch.
like, if you were to build a life that's not yours, what does that mean to you?
Oh man, like one to where it's like you might have all like the success and accolades or it's like all the external validation, but you still feel empty inside. Like it's meaningful. Like it's
Okay.
all just it's all shallow to where like I think that's why lots of celebrities like the part what they go through too. It's like they're like oh they have all the money, success, and family. They must be happy, right? Most of them are miserable
Yeah.
because they don't know how to foster good relationships.
Hmm.
They never been able to show like who they truly are.
Yeah.
So they have all this stuff, but they're lonely. They're the loneliest person on the planet.
Hmm.
So that's my biggest fear, probably, is like just waking up one day and just be like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Like this life is like not what I really want. It's what society expected me to have. It's my parents, my family, they expected me to have, not one that I cultivated intentionally myself. But the only way to do that is to learn to spend time with yourself, figure out who you really are, what your core values really are, and all that. So,
Yeah.
so when I first read personality profile, I was a three. I was just like, oh, I gotta spend some more time with Nick to kind of get to learn more about like what I care about, like my feelings. I just put them by the wayside,
Uh-huh.
But without having access to those, you don't really know what you care about.
Yeah.
You don't really know what drives you, what really like what gives you that passion for life. You're disconnected from that, so it's like you're a compass with no point of origin, like
Yeah.
no direction, so you don't know where to go without having access to that internal state and those feelings. So I had to learn how to be like, okay, let me actually take a beat and be like, do I want to do this because I want to do this, or I want to do this because it'll make me like look better
For the status.
yeah. So it's like I gotta make sure I line up things with authenticity,
Hmm.
right? So like the three's passion, which passions are like the negative motivation drive for a type. So my passion would be deceit, basically, to where it's like I'll like lie or lie to myself, or lie to others, or try to maintain a certain perception. But then at the expense of that is you might cultivate a life that's not worth living, essentially. That's not yours. So the opposite of that, which would be like the healing path, would be to learn how to be more authentic and be true. Learn how to show flaws and vulnerabilities, which I hate doing. Learn how to show like more flaws and like vulnerabilities, and let people know that even despite maybe you won't succeed all the time and that you'll fail all the time, or that you'll make mistakes, you might say the wrong thing. It's like that doesn't invalidate who you are as an individual. That worth is constant. That can't be changed based on your failures.
Yeah. Now for a three, because each like Enneagram type has a type that they tend to go to in health and then in unhealth.
Yes.
Do you know where does a three go in health and then when they're not healthy? I don't have all these memorized.
Yeah, in health, a three goes to a six.
Okay.
So they become less focused on themselves.
Uh-huh.
More focused on like community building, not having to be the person in the middle that gets all the accolades, but being able just to be a supporting member in a larger community and contribute to something bigger than yourself. Like learning how to cultivate relationships with people and learning how to bring the best out of other people. I think of it like Tony Robbins. I think it's a three.
Yeah.
So like he learned how to turn that into learning how to inspire and motivate other people to be better.
It's funny because sixes get stereotyped and I think are known for just being really anxious, but it's not about that. I think
it's more like skepticism of authority.
Yeah, and like what I've seen in sixes that I know is like, for example, they're maybe the one that's always prepped and prepared and has the first aid kit and all the things and whatever. And I don't think that that's always coming from a place of anxiety. I think it can come from a place of when there's someone in need, I can fill the need and I'm ready to, I've thought of all the things we could need. And when there is a need, I'm ready to step in and fill it because I don't want people to go without. And it can be presented as, like I said, from a place of anxiousness of what if I don't have this, then bad things will happen. But I think sixes can be in a healthy place of, like I said, I want to have these things for others.
They care about the tribe.
Yeah.
Care about the well-being of the
Yes.
tribe and people like in their life to have what they need.
Mhm.
So it might look like the fact that they're just always negative or they're focusing too much on that aspect, but it's more just like they care.
Yeah.
And they show that caring through that kind of preparation,
Mhm.
being able to think about the bad things that can happen, so that if they do happen, they can protect those that they care about.
Mhm.
Kind of, this comes from a well-meaning place. If they help,
Yeah.
it comes from a well.
Where does the 3 go in unhealth?
Ooh, 9.
Okay.
So like
Super like people pleasing.
like no, more like burnout,
Okay.
basically, to where it's like the unhealthy side of a 9, to where it's like the very could be passive or just
Yeah.
kind of let life happen.
Yeah, like with
to
the nine's a peacemaker, so
Yeah.
sometimes nines can be known for. I guess my mind jumps to people pleaser because what it can be is like they're prioritizing the peace over their own boundaries, wants, needs, speaking up for
They're
themselves,
down for anything.
and that can be presented as people pleasing
Yeah.
in ways.
Or just like they don't even know their own preferences. It's like
Yeah.
who they are is ambiguous to them, so they just kind of go with the flow with
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
So we look more like a 9, to where it's like we just kind of we blob out. Like if things become too overwhelming, we're just like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. And we just kind of like we stop taking care of ourselves, stop taking care of like health or like finances. Like we just almost just spiritually give up.
Yeah.
Basically. That almost got happened to me like in college, my freshman year. I was at RTC combined with being a physics major. First time being away from home. All this stuff just kind of compounded, and I had like a 2.6 GPA my freshman semester, and I was used to be like an A student and all that.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't take it, and I was like an asshole a lot to like the people like around me,
Yeah.
and just kind of like not caring. It's like my motivation stuff like that was gone, and it took work to kind of come back from that.
Yeah.
Being able to not. It takes grace, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, to kind of learn how to, like, again, you're not gonna do everything right, and also you have to learn to ask for help. Which, again, as a 3, it's just like, oh, help from other people. It's like I can do it myself. I'll be fine. And it's like, no, it's you eventually in life you're gonna encounter something where you're gonna need outside assistance or outside help.
Yeah.
You can't do everything on your own. I think that's a big lesson for me there, to where I have to learn how to ask for help when things start becoming too much.
Yeah.
And not be so prideful. So that was a hard lesson, but I think a good one for me to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not careful about that, I'll try to take on the entire world, and I'll just be crushed by it.
Yeah.
And then that gets me to a 9.
Okay.
So that's what when I read about this stuff, I'm like, wow, that's what happened to me there. Because like I used to kind of kick
Yes.
myself where it's like, why did I do that back in the day? And it's kind of like a jerk like that. And it's like, oh, because I was basically just in a spiritual crisis. Like I was like, the weight has become too much, and I disintegrated to like a lower version of myself.
Yeah. I think it can be so healthy and helpful to know what tendencies are, what it can look like when we start to get burnt out or step into an unhealthy place. I think people can create their own problems when they they totally use a type to define themselves and start using it as a write-off or an excuse.
Yeah.
So it's like I think all of these things and all the different assessments can be used for so much good and in a really healthy way. Because if you think about, if you didn't have these assessments or a better understanding, like you said, you were able to look back and go, oh, maybe that's what happened there. How long would it potentially have taken to like have that happen over and over to even recognize the pattern? And it's like taking the assessment helps call it out quicker. And then in a healthy way, if it was to happen again, you might be able to be like, oh, I feel like I'm showing up more like a 9 or having these tendencies. And we catch it a lot quicker.
It's preventive maintenance.
It's preventative maintenance.
Yeah.
I know for myself, when I'm in unhealth, I become a 1, which is like
A perfectionist.
I mean, gosh, if you know anything about like a 7 or an ENFP, like that is just the dichotomy of like that is just complete opposite. In all the ways of like being super perfectionistic. Things have to be done like this is the right way. When in reality, I am super flexible and like can be more go with the flow. And I notice even for myself, like in a workplace or at home with my kids, when I start becoming really rigid and just feeling that pressure, I'm like, okay, I'm stressed right now. And this is my way of responding. Whereas I can't remember what type would go to like a 7 in stress, but the people that wild out and get really spontaneous when they're stressed and they just like throw, all caution to the wind. It's really interesting how it presents differently for people.
Yeah.
Like my stress is someone else's health.
Yeah, it's weird. So that's why some people might be like, this personality types. I feel like they're just too put in the boxes. Like, well, theoretically, you can almost kind of change types, quote unquote, based
Yeah.
on how stressed out or like how healthy you are in terms of your development as a person. So it's like, yeah, there is kind of somewhat of a spectrum, but it's just more about learning what your type is, so that way you know the preventive maintenance to where it's like, if I'm starting to act a certain way, I'm starting to feel like they're stressed out, and you start seeing the signs ahead of time, so you can put yourself on a healthier path before things get that bad. Because I mean, there's levels of integration as well. I think levels like one through 9. So it's like there's like 9 types, and then I think there's like 9 levels of integration.
Yeah.
So a 5, it's like being at a 5 is like a healthy level integrate, or like average to healthy, to where it's like this is where most people operate in their type. But you can easily, maybe not easily, but like certain experiences can knock you down those levels of integration to where you can like act out the worst version of that type. So like a worst version of a 3 would be like someone like basically they don't care about relationships. Like they'll throw people on the bus in order to get what they want. It's like they become completely just almost probably sociopathic in terms of trying to pursue their goals or whatever. They just throw away all their morals for the sake of whatever they think will make them better. I'm assuming for a 7, I'll probably look like to where it's like you just don't care about the future whatsoever, or it's just like you kind of
I think a 7, for even like myself or other 7s that I know, like places to really be careful or maybe watch out for are things like being careless with like spending, or like even down to like how you're eating. Are you caring for your body? Or I think those things all require a level of discipline. And for a long time, I thought that I just couldn't be disciplined. I'm not a disciplined person. It's not me. It's one of my gifts and strengths that I am flexible and I can go with the flow. And discipline usually calls us to not act on what we're feeling and what we want in the moment, but what we kind of want for our future. I always say I'm going to do this for future Regina, or future Regina is going to be so glad I did this. So for me, I have to recognize if I'm driving with just what sounds good in the moment,
that impulsivity.
Yeah. Then that's not a great place to be. And sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, what sounds good in the moment is anything that'll get me away from the hard thing I need to process.
Yeah.
Escapism. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, that's so interesting for myself to even like recognize that, because I'm like, I kind of took the lead on my own life of like diving into understanding all these things. Like once I started going to therapy, I got all these books on like personality typing, and like there's the color coding one, and there's Myers-Briggs, and there's Enneagram, and all the things. I just wanted to understand like what is going on up here. Why? And then like throw that in with your 14 and there's like teenage hormones. Just trying to get a better understanding of all of those things. And I think at that time I was like, no, I'm not running away from feelings. What do you mean? Like, but really, I was like intellectualizing them.
Productive procrastination.
Yeah.
So kind of not like you're making progress, but not really in the area that you truly should be. Kind of focusing on. Yeah, and I did that a lot too. Yeah, I did that a lot too. And I think that's 3's whole thing is just basically just like productive procrastination, basically of like trying to do things to avoid the feeling. The feeling parts.
I wonder too if for a 3, are you familiar with the gap versus gain mindset?
I don't think so.
I'm horrible about remembering like who even coined these things or where it came from, but basically like if this is where you started and here's where you are, here's where you want to be, where we want to be for anyone moves as we grow and get older and those sort of things. It can be really easy to focus on the gap of, oh, I'm here, but I want to get over there. And we're so focused on what we lack that we're not able to look in hindsight and be like, well, look at all I've gained. Like, I'm moving forward and it feels like I just can't catch my goals, but it's because the goal is moving.
Moving goalposts.
Yeah. And so that's something I had to learn this year. Of someone asked me, are you a perfectionist? And I was like, no, perfectionists do this. They're organized. I listed all the ways that I thought I wasn't good enough to be a perfectionist. Like, yeah, like, no, I would have to be perfect to be a perfectionist. And they were like, no, your standards, that right there tells me that your standards are so high that you're still like, no, I'm not. Couldn't be a perfectionist. Perfectionists are perfect.
Yeah, I hit every single criteria to be
perfect,
so therefore I can't.
Yeah, and I was
like, that in and of itself is
It exposed it all. I said it and I was like, oh, well, so it called out for me that I was really focused on the gap and I was never looking at my gain. And I imagine that a 3 probably,
That's the key. Where the
I mean, yeah, like that's probably just everyday life of like, okay, yep, I checked that off. Great. But I just added more to my list and
and we never give ourselves grace for what we've done.
yeah.
It's never enough to where it's like, nope, still not worth it. until I hit the next thing, until I hit the financial milestone, like next life milestone, or next. It's always the next one, and then you get it, you enjoy it for 2 seconds, then it's like, now I need the next thing. And now I got to be on track for the next. So it's like it's always we can't even sit and just enjoy what we cultivated.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to learn. Just like, even like when I threw like a Halloween party like recently here too, there's like being able to just kind of sit in the moment and just kind of be present and not think about, oh, is everyone having a good time? Or it's like,
how can I make this better?
Yes,
like
always constantly
really
trying
room.
to optimize.
Yeah.
And even when my friend, like, here's like the other day, it's like when we're trying to fix like I was uploading like podcast clips, reviewing everything. He's like, Nick, why don't you just upload tonight? I'm like, I have to research. I have to look at this, maybe like check like the algorithm, all this stuff. I have to like do all this prep work for. He's like, Nick, that's probably the reason why you can't release content as fast as you want to, because you're too busy trying to like optimize all the time. It's like you're stopping yourself. So just let it go. Sometimes you might have bad clips or bad videos. That's fine. It's more important getting the stuff out there than trying to make it, put a bow on it, and then you want to make like one every 10 years.
Yeah, because in reality, I would be willing to bet that anyone that's successful at anything looks back and they're like, when I thought I was good, I actually wasn't as good as I thought I was. Or like, you could spend all the time to try to make it perfect. And in reality, you might look back in a few years and be like,
I was way off there.
yeah, like I put so much time into that and like I'm proud of the work, but also there was still so much
there's
growth.
still skills to develop that it will just take time and consistency to where it's like, yes, I think it's part of 3 too, is like we try to skip to the end. It's like, at least me as a person, like I'm a very impatient person, which I'm trying to work on, but it's like we try and get to the end of the chapter, try and get to the goal, where it's like, because we think that's all that matters. It's like, the point is to enjoy your life, not trying to rush through it to get to places.
Yeah.
Like the movie Click with Adam Sandler.
Yes.
I've seen that. I think that's a perfect example of the 3 of like trying to just fast forward through the life to all the good parts. And they end up missing the entire thing. Like
I feel like I need to rewatch that movie.
It's fantastic.
Especially with kids. I'm like, yeah, I need to rewatch that movie. It's
it's a great movie. It shows just like, like your lives are in the small moments, even the ones that are like not the best, aren't perfect, or aren't comfortable. But that's what the meaning is in those small moments. Not necessarily like in the big wins. Because you end up missing your whole journey.
Yeah. That's something I've been like really working on. I mean, this year, but focusing on recently is I recognize that with tendency of being perfectionist, I actually really just feel like I strive for more, or maybe like I have capacity for a lot. And I do feel like I'm someone with high potential. With that though, it can be detrimental to like, similar to what I relate to 3s a lot. Of just like, there's always a goal in front of me. I need to be doing better, all those things. And I also struggle with, like you mentioned with wanting to post videos, everything I put out needs to be perfect and excellent. And if I'm trying to do all these things and I'm trying to do them at 100%, like, is there going to be anything left to give? So I either have to shorten my list of things that I'm going to do and be really excellent at them, kind of the quantity versus quality thing.
Yeah.
I need to either be okay with a different output, or if I want it to be that excellent, my list of things that I can take on right now needs to be shorter.
Okay.
Yeah, so that there's actually time to just like enjoy life outside of it. Because there was a while there where like my schedule literally was like just back to back of like, and I would look at that as a successful day. Yep, I moved towards goals. I'm going in the right direction, super goal oriented and focused, which on one hand is growth. For a 7 or an ENFP, I feel like that is a sign of growth, but you can really quickly step into an unhealthy zone of that perfectionism and just being really hard on yourself. To where I was like, I wasn't even acting like a 7. I was like, when's the last time I did something spontaneous? Everything is scheduled right now. So also recognizing like, wait a minute, let me get back to, don't lose myself in this.
Yeah.
Growth doesn't mean losing yourself. I need to grow in those areas that I was weak in. But that doesn't mean leave behind who you are.
And I feel like it's a balancing act. It's like
it is.
Man, I even remember like when I was in I was in the RTC program back in when I went to A&M
Yeah.
called Corps Cadets. And I feel like I was having a hard time being a direct trainer because
Okay.
they had to be a little more dickish, for just lack of a better term. They have to be more just, you know, assertive, aggressive because they're trying to train a freshman in like the military kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, that's not me. Yeah, I'm just like, this
Yeah.
is not me, my life. And I remember talking to like this guy. His name is also Nick, and he was like, so Nicholas, here's the thing: is that when you're testing out a new part of yourself, you might go overboard, you know. But then you just kind of recalibrate and you remember that for next time. And then you might go, they may not be enough that time. And then you just,
Yeah.
it's a spectrum. There's not necessarily gonna be like a perfect solution for it, but it's like you learn how to navigate this stuff and find a better balance like over time. But you may overshoot and you may undershoot, but it's just more about just you keep at it and you just keep making those tiny little adjustments until you find that right balance. And it's just I still take that to heart to this day, where it's like just trying to make sure I don't. I'm always constantly being aware of like, okay, how did that feel to me in those circumstances?
Yeah. Something you said there about like learning each time. One of the things I've been learning this year is that if we don't allow time between one thing to the next, and if we overfill our schedules and we don't have downtime, and I don't mean downtime of like sitting on the couch watching TV, I mean like time where we do nothing. Like we're not scrolling, we're literally just existing. That's when the brain actually gets to process things and where we can actually learn from it. What I see a lot of times in myself, and I've seen it in other people, is we like overreact or we're super emotional in a situation. We didn't bring our best. And then you just kind of move forward versus like, okay, I'm actually going to step back and think about what just happened there. Was I being true to myself? Did I respond in a way I'm proud of? Those sort of things. And what can I do differently next time? So taking time to reflect. And that's something I think in the pace of our world, and if you're really like goal driven and oriented, it's really easy to just want to be like, all right, I'll just move forward. I'll just go. And I've had to learn to go like, no, I'm going to schedule, even if it's 5 minutes between one thing before I allow myself to go to the next. And if I take 5 minutes and there are just like no thoughts in my brain and I'm doing nothing, like it's really interesting how the way our mind works, we actually need that time to process it. And we might feel like we didn't take anything from it, but like it's chewing on that and working through it.
Some of my better ideas came from the fact that I wasn't trying to do anything.
Yeah.
It's like I even try to start going for more like daily walks and stuff like that. Just giving like 30 minutes to myself. Just not even listening to music, just walking around. Right. And I'm just like, huh. Like I start like figuring stuff out that it's actually a good idea for me to do. And it's like even like the camera thing came from that. So it's like set some kind of like maybe free software or something I can use to kind of help out with this, right? I'm gonna buy a $1,200 camera. And that came from me just walking around, just like my brain just pondering stuff. Yeah. So giving yourself that time just to process is like it's really important. There's no distractions, and again, just for my personality type, that's what we actively run away from. That's
oh yeah, me too. Yeah, don't sit with it. And even like things like when I go on a run of like I used to always say, I can't run without music. I can't work out without music. I can't. And I recognized it's because I was so uncomfortable just being or processing thinking, which is crazy because I do feel like when I take that time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just came up with something that at least in my eyes was brilliant. And I couldn't have come to that without actually just taking the time to really work through it. And slow down. I don't know if you've heard of scheduling white space. Some people will call it that in like a corporate world, but it's literally like a time that you can physically put on your calendar. And I mean, I think anyone can implement this, even if they're not in the business world, and no matter what type you are in the Enneagram or Myers-Briggs, or taking the time to actually slow down and you're scheduling nothing. It's actually like this is a block in my calendar to kind of like protect, set a boundary around like I need time to process things and I need time to better understand like what just happened there before I allow myself to move on, because we miss, like you said, so much if we don't just like go on the walk without music or take time to actually like work through things. Yeah.
Unexamined life is not worth living. I said the thing was Socrates, like some kind of ancient philosopher back. Yeah. But yeah, it's like being able to kind of take a beat and really kind of process about these things that happen in your life or events And just take that second to kind of be mindful about that stuff,
Yeah.
which can be hard to sit with because it can be uncomfortable. But it's in the uncomfortabilities you find the truths that
Yeah.
you need to learn.
Yeah. And I think like for a striver or someone that's really like goal driven, it just feels like a waste of time. Like you're chomping at the bit. Like I'm supposed to be doing something right
Yeah,
now.
but
Um,
that in itself is an escape, basically, from
yeah.
the real work.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Needs to be done.
actually need to. I had a boss at one point that this stuck with me, and I say it all the time to my team and speak it over myself of there are times we need to slow down in order to speed up. And if we're just running, running, running all the time, our results and our output are going to be greatly affected. I mean, there are even like studies on people that take more breaks or maybe have a shorter work week are way more productive than someone that's like, I'm here for 40 hours because I have to be. Because then we get really comfortable checking out and like doing nothing or being
Burnout,
unproductive.
just yeah,
Yeah.
and you burn a lot of times. Like, kind of like NASCAR races with the pit stops. You know, it's like
Hmm.
you're stopping, so you feel like you're losing distance in the race, but you're actually maintaining the car to where it can run its optimal potential,
Yeah.
so you can go as fast as you can while still maintaining that stability.
Hmm.
So it's like you gotta give yourself a time to have that pit stop
Yeah.
and kind of recollect yourself, or even go on a vacation.
Hmm.
And spend time with your friends, your loved ones, or like
Yeah.
don't forget to enjoy the life that you're trying to work so hard to cultivate.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point? It's
Hmm.
like you build this whole life that you won't be able to enjoy. Like a lot of workaholics, they have that issues, and it leads to a whole bunch of downstream problems when they get older. So it's important. I think I actually read somewhere like America is like probably like the most three country. Like if countries have their own like enneagram types, America's probably the most three. To where it's
Oh,
like always on the go, always trying to produce, always pushing for the next best thing,
yeah.
sacrificing people for the sake of the product.
Yeah.
Right? Like we are American master. So being able to take a beat and remember communities and remember to enjoy that time with people that we care about. So the reason why we work is to and have lives that we enjoy and spend with the people that we love. Like the work is not the point. The work is
Hmm.
supposed to supplement the good aspects of life. And I
Yeah.
think we kind of miss that a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Um,
It was so interesting. I visited a friend that lives in Colorado over the summer and literally going from Dallas to she's near Durango, but even further out, like out in the middle of nowhere kind of. I was like, oh, I feel like I just time traveled. The pace was so different. And like looking at the lifestyle there, um, people don't live to work. They just kind of like work to live so that they can do their, I mean, like weekends are spent at the river or hiking and like just enjoying what there already is.
hmm.
And of course, living somewhere just beautiful like that, it's natural to want to do those things. But even looking at like, okay, does my lifestyle or the my day to day or where I live and the people I'm around, like, what are we what do we value based on how we're operating? Because I think our values are easily communicated through if someone wrote out their week and how they spent their time, whether they want to admit it or not, what they value is on that piece of paper. Um, and I think that was a huge reality check for me of going, looking at my life and going, are these things even in line with what I care about and what I want? And like, do I actually value these things or are they just fun at the moment? Me being a seven. Is it just fun here right now? But I actually don't even care about this. And I need to learn the discipline to like look at what are my value points and like, am I living in that way?
Like make more time for the things that really do matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Actually, my therapist made do like a budgeting time schedule thing.
Okay.
And I'm like, shit, that's a lot of video game. I'm like, that's a lot of that's video games and phone time. I'm like, huh? I'm like,
Uh-huh.
man,
Oh my gosh, yeah. Isn't that like when your phone tells you how much time you spent on it? I used to like look at that and just be like, oh my gosh, that's sickening. Like that many hours of my day were spent looking at this screen. What did I miss? And I literally like deleted all of my social media and like deleted all the apps. Like my accounts still exist, whatever. But because I was like, who knows? Maybe I'll use them again one day. I don't know. But right now I know I'm wasting so much time and I've gotten really comfortable wasting time. And I could be using that time, I mean, doing literally anything else. I mean, like connecting with the people that are actually around me. Like when you talk about the Halloween party, of like how often are we with people? And it's funny. Anybody that listens that's also gotten off socials may relate to this. I frequently will be in a setting where I'm just observing what's happening around me, and I'm the only person not on my phone because I was addicted to my phone at one point. You know, when you sit down and the first thing you do is reach for it, and like muscle memory, you reach for whatever that Instagram was the app for me. It was TikTok at one point, but like you just reach for it, and those like things become ingrained, and everyone else is doing it, so we don't really think about it.
Yeah, because like socializers are normal.
Yeah. Like that's the expectation. And when you step back and stop doing that, you look at everybody else and are like, did you guys just see that? Or did you hear that? Whatever. And it's like the things that I now miss that I'm unplugged from are things that I don't even care because it doesn't impact me. And I don't mean me in a selfish way. I mean like my family, my work, like the things that touch my world.
Yeah.
So whatever happened with that one celebrity that everyone's freaking out about, I'm like, no, I don't know about that. But I don't care. I'm okay with a lot of people will joke like, oh yeah, Regina lives under a rock. Because I don't like have socials anymore. I really don't enjoy watching TV and movies. I don't have the attention span of a goldfish is where I'm at. To sit and watch a show is kind of painful for me. I'm like, I just can't. I need to go move and do. And so I like miss out on all these things, miss out. But in reality, I'm like, I'm not missing a thing. I'm actually like the Click movie you mentioned, I'm seeing all the stuff that you guys are actually missing.
Right.
And are going to look back and be like, oh, I don't know. I was on my phone.
We've been too invested in everyone else's lives and not
Yes.
in our own.
Uh-huh.
You know, watching everyone else's stories unfold and
Yeah.
not making our own, cultivating our own stories.
Yeah. I want to be invested in the people that I like see in the real world.
Yeah.
You know, like the people on social media that you have from like elementary school, high school, whatever. That it's like, I don't even interact with these people. Why do I care? Like, not that I don't care about you as a person, but I actually don't care about this. I want to be focused on.
They don't have any impact on my life.
Yeah.
Now. So I'm putting in time that's waste. I'm almost wasting. It's not really investing to making your life or people's in your immediate relationships like better.
Yeah.
You know, it's like energy misuse or in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's part of the mental health crisis too, is that like people have been it's almost too much information for us to take.
Way too much information.
And we're just not built to take that much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just we end up taking on the burdens of the world when we shouldn't be.
Yeah.
We shouldn't, like, you know, I think it's good to be well informed, but if all you do is just watching the news or what's on social media, it's freaking you out, causing anxiety, you should probably stop. Because you're putting all this burden and worry on yourself for problems that you can't fix.
Yeah.
So it's like you're helpless to really do anything about it, but yeah, you're taking on responsibility for it. That's why you feel terrible about yourself. So
yeah.
It's being able to hold yourself accountable for things that are within your control, like the locus of control.
Mm-hmm.
I think the word for it. Things that you do have influence or impact on, and focus on, put your efforts towards that, and you'll feel better and more effective as a person. Like that self-efficacy. I think it's a term.
Yeah.
So it's I think this stuff is good to know, because I feel like there's a lot of weaknesses or a lot of things in society gets propagated that we don't really talk about, or we just kind of let occur and let slide, and then it has a negative impact on us, and we feel like, what the hell's happening? And this is you're not making time for yourself, your loved ones, and you're paying attention to all the things that don't really serve you. Mm-hmm. And when you put that energy into the right places instead of the wrong places, you'll feel much better.
Yeah.
And like a lot less burden. And then you can take that energy and put it into people, and then you help them feel a lot better. And then it just kind of cascades from there.
Yeah, like what would things look like if the people that are put in front of us for a reason, like we're put where we are for a reason, whether you believe it's, for me, like I'm a believer in God, and I'm like, okay, yep, I'm put in this place for a reason. Other people have their other beliefs of why we're in certain places. But with it, like we're placed in certain places, and if we're focused on the wrong things, like you said, we're gonna miss that area that we were supposed to impact.
Right.
And if no one is focused on the area that they're supposed to impact, we're actually not moving forward at all.
Yeah, like the whole system falls. The whole thing falls apart because like no one's doing what they were kind of built to do, so to speak. To try to keep to not lose the plot. To kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, I believe in that wholeheartedly. Where it's like we're built a certain way for a reason, and to employ who we are to the best of our ability, the best of our capability, and by doing so and sticking to that, it'll have a positive effect on the world. and help bring the best of other people.
Yeah.
Right. So some people are just naturally good at artists, or just naturally great at accounting or building relationships or just solving problems or project management. They have these natural inclinations that they maximize that. That is how you have a good impact on the world. That's how you can uh, be a person that makes a difference.
Yeah, and I think that kind of brings back to like knowing things with like your Myers-Briggs type or your Enneagram. One of the gifts of knowing that or seeing that, and like how I mentioned earlier where I felt so seen, is recognizing I am this way for a reason. How can I utilize that?
Yeah.
And if we don't know those things about ourselves, or if we haven't fully recognized it, it's kind of like it's easy to miss the target if you don't know where it is or what it is. And just being able to recognize, okay, well, I didn't act that way because I'm like incompetent or bad or whatever it is. That's just my natural preference. That the way I perceive that is going to be, that was innate for me to do. I think we can learn enough about ourselves to, in identifying our weaknesses, of course, we want to grow in the areas. Like for me, having an extroverted preference, that doesn't mean that there's no space for me to like benefit from some of the ways that an introvert perceives the world. But it almost kind of gives you permission to step into who you are.
Yeah.
When you know those things.
You know how to double down on your strengths.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you'll see your full effectiveness as a person that you can have when you fully embrace and utilize those strengths. It's like it's great when you feel like you finally know what you're built for and be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's your ability. That's why I started the whole podcast thing. I recognize that the best parts of it three is like being able to help bring out the best in people and be able to kind of inspire them and kind of thing. So I'm like, oh, I do like doing that. I am kind of a cheesy motivational type. So that's so I'm glad like it lines up with how I've always acted. You know, so it's like, oh, there's a reason for that. And to embrace that
makes sense, yeah.
And it makes you more empowered as an individual. But it's like, I know kind of what I'm here for. I know what I'm built for.
Yeah.
And I do. And I think that's the point of it. It's just really just knowing what you're built for, and then providing that to the best of your ability.
Yeah. Yeah. When people say things like, oh, well, just I am who I am. Like I can't change. I think that can be a really potential negative outcome of someone understanding and knowing their type if their mentality is to go, well, that's just how I'm wired. I can't change or I can't grow in that area. Like these aren't things to limit us.
Yeah.
We can recognize what our natural strengths and weaknesses are, but I mean, the goal and the challenge is to be able to tap into and to relate to anybody, no matter what their type of preference is. Doesn't have to match ours. Now, I don't think our goal should ever be to try to change ourselves, because with my belief of we're wired how we're wired, we can't change that. But that doesn't mean we can't grow and we can't do things that stretch us.
You can't refine those best aspects of who you are. You know, and help bring that more out to the surface. Yeah. Yeah, just being a better version of who you are. Yeah. A better version of yourself. You don't try to be somebody else, because you never will. Like you'll be the worst person, or the second-rate version of whoever you're trying to mimic. Just be that best version of who you already are, and bring that to the forefront. And you'll see the benefits of that for your life and other people's lives. For sure. Yeah. But so yeah, I think that puts us I know, but like thank you for having this conversation. Of course. And being able to kind of explore these personality type preferences and the benefits of doing so. And I hope for the audience out there that after listening to this, you might be able to try to take a test, yourself, take a look at it, learn a little about it. And this stuff isn't take it somewhat with a grain of salt. I think you'll probably know what your type is. Yeah. For the most part, I recommend just reading a good, if not all of them, just to make sure, which ones line up with you the most. But the ones that you do line up with, you'll have the most visceral sense of feeling like, oh, I'm being seen, or like that's me. Yeah. On a deeper level, like you'll kind of feel it. It's like an intuitive kind of thing. Yeah. But I would say with Myers-Briggs, the 16 personality site is a really good resource. Enneagram is a little easier to read through because there's only 9 of them, so that's a great place to like you said, read about each type. And the best way to type yourself on Enneagram is to really do some reflection. Whichever feels like the biggest gut punch is probably the one that's your that's your type. But learn about the information, learn a little bit more about yourself, and then with that knowledge, you can empower yourself to bring out those best aspects of who you are, and then be able to encourage those aspects in other people as well. and hopefully that'll slowly kind of make the world, you know, a little, hopefully a little,
Make a greater impact. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But thank you, Regina, for being
Of
on the
course.
show
Yeah.
and
Thank
everything.
you.
And thank you all for listening. So stay tuned for the next episode. I have another couple of guests lined up. Looking forward to big things on the horizon. Like always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think and keep it real. Thanks, guys.